first and foremost, Banyaha Kodam, UNC, Kalimla, Helbashim Yahshua Bashim Raka Kodash, Barfan, and the double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and Yahbashim Yahshua Baraka to all you fellow laborers out there. Young buddy here, Shamash One, and I want to get into a quick one. I don't really have much time, so we're just going to go into it real quick. The Fed will plunge the U.S. into a major recession by hiking rates above 5%. Deutsche Bank predicts, right? Which we know about the Fed, right? The Federal Reserve, okay? Which for new brothers, we'll just explain it really quickly. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States. This is Investopedia. Slack it. This first article, right, is from market.businessinsider.com, right? The Fed will plunge the U.S. into a major recession, right? Okay, now to explain what the Fed is, here we go. Investopedia.com, understanding how the Federal Reserve creates money. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States, referred to as the Fed. It's arguably the most influential economic institution in the world. One of the chief responsibilities set out in the Fed's charter is the management of the total outstanding supply of U.S. dollars and dollar substitutes, right? The currency. That means the Fed is responsible for the policies that create and destroy billions of dollars each day, right? It's a fiat currency too, so you can go look that up on your own. It's just too much to get into. Let's get into this article. We're going to read a little bit, and then we're going to get some scriptures and bounce back to the other one. And will be edifying. So the Federal Reserve will plunge the U.S. economy into a major recession, right? Which means like bad economic health, right? There's going to be, let's see here, right? You scroll down to see what a recession is, the way they explain it here on this website. Conservatively, blah, 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 blah. Raise interest rates. Give me a second. Here we go. By and large, economics believe the Fed can pull off these rate hike increases without slowing the economy down so much as to cause a recession. A recession is commonly defined as 2 consecutive quarters of falling gross domestic product, domestic gross product, gross domestic product, my bad, right? GDP, gross domestic product is basically like the like I have here a scorecard of a country's economic health, and that was from Investopedia, gross domestic product GDP, and that's just the gist of it, okay? The Federal Reserve will plunge the U.S. economy into a major recession before the end of 2023 by hiking interest rates to between 5 and 6%. Deutsche Bank has predicted. Tremendous economists led by David Folkers Landau said in a note on Tuesday they believe the Fed will have to raise interest rates much higher than the analysts are currently expected to successfully stamp down on inflation. Okay, so why do they want to raise interest rates? This is alive.com or www.1alive. I think that's how you say it. This looks like some sort of news website. How does raising the interest rate lower inflation? Okay, so let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. First, you have to think about what happens when interest rates are low. It's easier to pay off a credit card bill or borrow money to buy a house, so low interest rates encourage spending, right? Now, you go watch that video. Another pastor made a video about it. George Gammon, why they want to ban cash. Roughly is what the video is called, but it's a video that the Apostle Tar made called Brothers in GMS. Watch this video, and you go watch that. Now, low interest rates, they say booming economy, so on and so forth, because it basically like the banks want to loan out that money. But there's certain issues with that. In that video by George Gammon explains the further intricacies of it, but I'm not going to do that today. Demand for products is high, and when demand is high, prices soar. The goal when the Fed raises interest rates is to lessen desire to spend, and the demand will lower prices. Okay, so now you have higher interest rates, so that would just like make people want to spend less, basically. Okay, and that's just explaining it in like the most basic of terms. Um, we will get a major recession, but our strongly held view is that the sooner and the more aggressive the Fed acts, the less long-term damage to the economy there will be. They said so. Let's go explain that. There will be no fixing this. Okay, it's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. The nations are mad as in angry because things aren't going the way that they expected them to. Also mad as in mentally because the nations become corrupt like America. Exactly. Nations they follow America's democracy, which is innately built on division. You have two different political parties, right? It's literally built off of division and madness and confusion. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for? Take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone to his own country, for a judgment reach unto heaven, and lift it up even to the skies. Exactly. So, Babylon is America, right? Which we already know, right? And hey, that destruction, it's coming, man. And when Yahweh Shah returns, man, it's gonna be it for it, man. But as we see American falling down today, man, there's no healing. We would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. And everyone's gonna go abandon this country, man. Hell, her own ally is gonna betray her, man. The 10 horns shall hate the Lord, shall burn it with fire. Hell, even America's allies are gonna drop missiles in this place, man. NATO and the EU are gonna betray America. All right, but they're going to slavery too. So, that's just the way it's written, man. All right. So when it says we would have healed Babylon, it means like America, man. These Edomites, man, they're trying to keep this country alive, man. Trying to keep their rulership alive. They try to bring in these infrastructure bills and these. As we're seeing here, the Fed is trying to raise interest rates. They try to lower inflation, right, and like get people to spend less, right, and try to fix things, but they're not, man. It's not gonna work. And as this article brings out, is that it's not gonna fix anything, man. America will move into a recession because it's prophecy, man. And when it says the judgment reached into heaven and looked up into the sky, that's metaphorical, okay? It's metaphorical and also physical, okay? Because metaphorically that they've done so much sin that it's piled up, but also that they've literally, have like, satellites, and they have something called space debris. Right? They have satellites and shit in the air. It's the book of Revelation chapter 18. We'll go to the point. Verse 3, for all nations drunk of the wine, the wrath of fornication, the kings of the earth have committed fornication, wherein the merchants of the earth are waxed rich to the abundance of our delicacies. Exactly. So the wine and the wrath of fornications are the philosophies and ways, America's ways, right? And so on and so forth. Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sin, and that you receive not of her plague. And that's a deliverance. All right, that's just a deliverance. The chariot, so on and so forth. For our sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered our iniquities. Exactly. And I got the breakdown from the brother GMSFAQ, metaphorical, all the wickedness they have committed, but also literally as they have reached into space. Exactly. So that's the point. You're not fixing this, man. You're not gonna sit here and try to fix this. But let's continue reading. Analysts expect the Fed to continue hiking interest rates relatively aggressively in 2022 and 2023. Many forecast the Fed will raise the federal funds target rate to a peak of about 3% by the end of 2023. By and large, economists believe the Fed can pull off these rate hike increases. Without slowing the economy so much as to cause a recession. A recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of falling gross domestic product, which is like economic health, right? However, Deutsche Bank became the first bank to predict the U.S. recession earlier this month. On Tuesday, it said it now expects the economy to fare worse than it did just days earlier. Okay, so it's just gonna get worse, man. There is this outlook, seeing clearly skewed to the downside for a more severe recession. Volkers, Landau, and colleagues said, the economists said they think inflation will surge to a 41-year high in March, will continue to outstrip expectation due to a red-hot labor market and supply chain issues. Exactly. So things are gonna get higher, prices are gonna get higher, people are gonna get more and more rowdy, man. That's what you see, man. Iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, man. People going, they're gonna bug out, man. Which we are seeing that, right? The love of many shall wax cold, right? We're seeing on the news murders and killings and so on and so forth. Therefore, they said, also, I raise Egyptian against Egyptian. That one's another one. American against American. That scripture. That's another one. It's just gonna get worse in here, man. In this country, man. As we move into Jacob's trouble, so on and so forth, and it's gonna get worse in Jacob's trouble, as you all know. Therefore, they said the Fed will have to raise interest rates much higher than many expect to try and control the problem. We assume conservatively that a Fed funds rate moving well into the 5 to 6% range will be sufficient to do the job this time, which is bullshit. Still gonna go down. We said this would trigger a significant recession by late next year, which would push up unemployment by several percentage points. So, no matter how you slice it or dice it, America is going to have a recession. Okay? And this is gonna be the last one. This is the book of let's see here. Am I signed in? Okay. I'm gonna go pause and give me a second. I'm gonna go get something on my notes. Okay, so I found the exact page. I forgot to put my notes inside the King James. I'll have to do that. Little one sometime after this one, after I finish this video. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4. For the soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith, right? So the first half of the verse is in reference to the Edomites, but the second half is referring to the hopeful elect of Israel. Only the Lord's servants can have faith, which goes back to Hebrews 11, right? Also, as you can say, another one, just shall live by his faith. What am I thinking of? Oh, exactly. Jeremiah 30 and 7, right? The Jacob's trouble. It even be a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The he that should be saved out of it is not talking about one man, but multiple men, which is the hopeful elect. Verse 5, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who watches the desires hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and even unto him all peoples. Now, I did a breakdown on this before. The U.S. spends more on military than on school. I think that was like maybe the name of the video. I don't exactly remember it. It was a while ago. I remember doing a video on this. Transgressed by wine, he spread his philosophies, right? So on and so forth, and righteous decrees, right? He's a proud man, he's a proud devil, right? Neither keep ass home. He has 800 military and army bases around. Let's actually see if we can get the exact figure, because this is a sit down, right? How many military bases does the U.S. have? Okay. How many military bases are in the United States? The United States has approximately 450 to 500 military bases. And that's just in the United States. Holy shit. Let's see outside the U.S. God damn. Yeah. So an important aspect of the U.S. withdrawal was closing Washington's bases, which was once spread across the country. Uncle Sam left Bagram Air Base, America's biggest facility in Afghanistan, on his way home. However, some 750 American military facilities remain open in 80 nations and territories around the world. So that's 750 bases in 80 countries. Okay, so he definitely doesn't keep his ass at home. Alright, this damn devil, man. He desires hell / heap up, right? And that's the melting pot, right? And just like Rome has a mixed army, America does too. So that's the breakdown for that, right? Because America is Rome revived, and you can go look into that, Revelation 13 and other scriptures, man. Revelation 12, all this shit. I'm not doing all that right now. I'm not opening that can of worms, man. It's too much to get into. Verse 6. Should not all these take a parable against him, and a taunted parable against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that word for thick clay is, actually, we won't get on that first, right? So woe, right, destruction, okay? And when it says how long, that's Habakkuk acting that, right? And that's him asking, um, like how long are we gonna be in a society where Esau is increasing now, which is not his, which he's doing robbery, International Monetary Fund, bingos or big international non-government organizations, so on and so forth. He's a damn thief. And to him that layeth himself with thick clay. So destruction also, and to him that lay himself with thick clay. And that word thick clay is actually a mistranslation, which means debt, and that word is a batyat. And they have debts on two levels, right? They have a spiritual debt, which we already explained already here in Matthew, Revelation 18 chapter. Their sins have went to heaven. When you read later down, it says, "Reward even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works." Right? So Esau's gonna get his judgment, right? Slavery, and after 1,000 years, it's gonna be exterminated. The Wadi Halbashim Yahushai, right? So on and so forth. But they also have a literal debt, where they have a debt-based system, okay? Which, exactly, Esau creates debt to enslave others. Exactly, we're under slaves. We're slaves to this fucking debt, man. This entire society is based off of debt, And we're just gonna get one final figure here. Investopedia back to the same article, understanding how the Federal Reserve creates money despite being in charge of managing the money supply, right? The modern Federal Reserve does not simply run new paper bills off a machine. Of course, real currency printing does occur with the help of the U.S. Department of the Treasury. However, the vast majority of the American money supply is digitally debited and credited to commercial banks. Moreover, real money creation takes place after the banks loan out these new balances to the broader economy. Okay, so that's what you get, man. So this entire society is built off of debt. You have debited and credited, right? The money supply, a lot of the money supply is digitally debited and credited to commercial banks, as we've read. So this entire society is built off of debt. People have debt. You can look at that with like the debt clock, right? You have a debt per person, okay? Which I actually want to look more into on my own time, right? You have a debt per person. Like every person is born with a certain amount of debt, right? Which is really debt to the international bankers, because they're the ones that run the show, right? And I heard other Apostle Kabar break this down. And this video is from GMS Mailbag. You can go watch that one on your own time. So, Lord willing, you guys will edify. It's kind of a fast video, but just wanted to get this one out real quick before I go head out to work. So, Lord willing, you edify. And next time I see you, Shalom.